Okay, today's project, I had to do brakes on the truck. There's almost 40,000 miles, and the brakes, the brake pad, they're 8 years old. They got rust behind the pad, and it blew the pad off on the inside, and it cut into the rotor. So I had to have the rotor cut. It's hard to find people to cut these now. If you have a garage that does it, you want to stay on good terms with that garage, because they cut this thing for $15. It would cost me $60 for a new rotor, and that's an OEM rotor. The new rotors today are cheap metal. They don't last, so I wanted to keep the old one, the original. So you disassemble everything, take your tire off. This is your caliper bracket, and this bolts onto here like this. That holds your caliper. These big bolts go in there. You have to take this off to get the rotor off. And these pins is for the caliper. You want to grease these, pull them out, and make sure they're greased. They just pop right out. Make sure there's grease on them. So that's off. Now your caliper, once you get that off, your caliper comes off of this hub here, and it wasn't touched for 8 years. It's very, very tight. It rusts on here because it's a very tight finish, a tight fit, and you want to clean all the rust off before you put the new one on, so it lines up straight. It doesn't wobble or anything. And I'm just going to hit it with some brake cleaner. And let that dry. And what I have is anti-seize. This is nickel anti-seize. It's marine grade. I use it on the boat all the time. It's a marine grade anti-seize. So I'm going to put that on the hub. If I ever buy a new vehicle, I bought this truck new, I might buy one more, I will purposely take all the tires off and all the rotors off and put this Never Seize on. Because when you got to do a brake job or take the rotors off, even to get the tire off, the tire gets stuck on here. It fits on this hub. It gets tight on the hub from the rust, and you can't get the tire off. So I would purposely take everything off and put this Never Seize on. This stuff is like gold. Nickel is like gold, you know. Okay, so that's all clean. We got the Never Seize on. So now we're going to put our rotor on. They did a real good job on the machining on this. Real professional. I'm very happy with that place. And I'm going to get a paper towel. You want to wipe your fingerprints off, you know. You don't want to get the new surface dirty. Okay, let me clean up a little bit and I'll get back to you. So actually, I'm going to clean this. Even though it looks like new, it's dirty. It's dirty from the machining of it. It's pretty black. Look how black that is. So we're going to get that off on both sides. Yes, dirty, dirty. Dirty, dirty. Okay, that's clean now. Okay, these retaining washers go on the threads that hold your drum on there until you get your wheel on. You just screw them on. Naturally, it has to rain when I'm doing this. It doesn't rain until you start doing something. So you screw them all the way to the hub, the inside, and that holds the hub on. Okay, so now we got our rotor on there, secured with these clips. And now we're going to put the caliper bracket on. And that's what's going to hold your caliper. Now I'm doing this on a 2012 Dodge Ram 1500. Get one started on the top one, and then your bottom one. Put that one in as far as you can go by hand. Okay, and then we're going to use a 13/16 socket to tighten these up. You want to make sure they're pretty tight. Okay. All right. So that's on. We got our caliper here. It's up on the A-frame. You don't want to hang it by the hose, so you damage the hose. So I set it up here on the A-frame. Okay, now we'll get our pads ready to go on here. Also, these grooves here, that's where your new pad is going to slide, in these grooves. So you want to clean these out. I got a small file here. Just want to clean them out. Okay, so you take your brake pad. I put some high temperature ceramic lubricant in the track. These clips, they go on to the brake pad. I had to use the old clips. The pads I got didn't have the clips with it. So next time I'm gonna look for pads that have the clips. So you put that into the groove. Okay, let's get in there. There we go. Okay, that one's in there. Do the same thing on the back side. Some of these clips aren't in that good a shape, so I'll have to use what's good. Okay, so they're on there. Now your caliper is ready to go. You want to compress the cylinder, the pistons back in. When you take it apart, they're going to be out. So what I do is I take the old brake pad, put the old brake pad there, and then I get a C-clamp, and then I put the C-clamp on there. In this case you got 2 pistons, so I use 2 C-clamps, 1 on each one. And then you tighten it up and you push the pistons back in. I put a little bit of lubricant on the pistons so they move freely. And that's how you get the clearance to put it back together. Otherwise, you won't be able to put it back together. Okay, so you get that over the pads. And this is where your bolt's going to go on these pins. So that caliper goes on the outside of the pins. So you get your bolt caught on there. Get in there. Okay, we're having a little trouble there with maybe the bottom one started first. Okay. All right, that one's on. That one is going on. So now you're going to have to hold this with the wrench. Put a wrench behind that. In this case, I'm using a 3/4. Goes on there. And then my socket is a half inch works. I think it's probably metric. A lot of stuff on this truck is metric. Half inch fits tight, so could be metric. So you tighten that up real snug. And you get your bottom one. And that's it. It slides on those pins. We'll pump up the brake pedal a little bit. Just wipe this again a little bit. There's a little ceramic grease got on there. All right. Let me go hit the pedal a couple of times and we'll see how it tightens up. Okay, so we got the wheel back on, up on the hub, and we're gonna tighten it. So you go every other one. So that's snug. We're gonna let the jack down. Oop. Gotta get our safety jack out of there. You see? The safety jack kept it from falling down. Okay, we got that out. And now we'll torque these up. So you go from that one. This is 5 lugs, so you skip one, you go over here, which is across, skip one, go over here. Skip that one, go over here. And then the last one. Okay, they're tight. And that's it. Now, I pumped up the brake pedal because you're not going to have a brake pedal after you put the the pads and everything on. So you pump the pedal up before you move the vehicle. So you get a pedal. Make sure you have a pedal before you put it in gear. And then you could drive it and test it and see how it works. Okay, that's about how to do brakes on a Hemi 5.7 Hemi.